What's up, YouTube? Carolina Jackpot back with part number 2 of my week number 9 picks and predictions against the spread. Let's get into some of the more important games of the afternoon and evening and see what may or may not happen this weekend. Penn State on the road at Ohio State is a huge matchup. It's like number 2 versus number 6, I think it is. I'm going to pick Penn State to cover the spread in this game, even though they are 6.5 point underdogs on the road against Ohio State. They won against the Buckeyes last year in a game at the time was considered a huge shocker, but was it really? I don't think it was. They've just played better competition this year, in my opinion. Ohio State's schedule has been really weak. One of their biggest wins, perhaps maybe their biggest win of the year, is against Army. A couple of nobodies in the Big Ten that they beat up on. They're just, they may be an elite team, but, they just haven't had a platform to show it. If they can beat Penn State at home on Saturday, it proves to me that they are an elite team. Until then, they got to do something to prove that loss at home to Oklahoma wasn't a true showing of their character. Penn State Saturday winning against Michigan at home. That was a blowout. It was a big-time game, a big-time atmosphere, and they came up, performed to a big-time level. And I think they're going to do it again this Saturday. I'm taking the Nittany Lions to cover the spread here, and I think they're going to win the game outright against the Buckeyes and solidify that number 2 ranking. They're not going to move up to number 1 unless Alabama loses a game, which I think they're actually off this weekend. Vanderbilt on the road, South Carolina against my Gamecocks. They're 6.5 point underdogs to Carolina. I didn't even fill this one in. Shame on me. Gamecocks covered the spread. Vanderbilt, if you've paid attention to what's been going on with them this year, they came out of the gate pretty strong. Last time out, however, they lost by 22 on the road to an Ole Miss team that has nothing to play for. In their SEC games, they've lost by 59, 14, and 31 points. Haven't won in over a month. Their best win of the year was against an overrated Kansas State team at home, in which the referees gave them 2 calls that should have gone against them. Kansas State should have actually won that game. But I digress. Kyle Shermer is a good quarterback. He's thrown 14 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. That's a 7-to-1 ratio, which you got a pretty good quarterback ranking. Ralph Webb, though, this year, only 408 yards rushing through 7 games. Part of that's the fact that they've played stiff competition. They played some stiff defenses this year. Georgia, really held on to them. Florida, despite the fact Florida's not a very good team, they got a good defense. They held them in check. K-State held them in check. We'll see what happens. The South Carolina defense, much improved over last year. South Carolina's defense was hustling to the ball now. They look mean. They look tough. They look like they're ready to, suit up and hit somebody. Against Tennessee, it was, a bend but don't break type deal. Won the game 15-9. Did not allow them to get in the end zone. Just gave up the 3 field goals that they dang near did at the end of the game. Almost gave it away, which, to me, Carolina should have won that game by a lot more than what they did. They blew some opportunities there. The defense was stiff against Arkansas. Also, they need to get more of a pass rush, though. They got to get more of a pass rush, and they're really going to need that this Saturday against Vanderbilt. They've had an off week. Heal up some of those injuries on the offensive line, heal up some injuries in a few other spots. So their best blocking running back on the team, Rico Dowdle, he's out for the year. He is not coming back. He has a broken ankle. And he won't be able to heal up by the time the season's over with. So look for Tyson Williams to be in there in the short yardage situations doing the blocking, and A.J. Turner, the smaller, more finesse back, to be back there would not. They need to get some long yardage. Missouri on the road at UConn. They're 12.5-point favorites against the Huskies. You know, this is a very strange intersectional matchup between these two. I don't really know what they're doing playing each other, and I don't really know why Missouri is traveling to Storrs, Connecticut, but they are. UConn this year so far, some of the games that they've lost, they've given up 70, 49, 41 points. Of course, you see what kind of scoring Missouri can put up. They put up 78 points or 68 points against Idaho this past weekend. UConn has won their last two games, albeit against Temple and Tulsa. Here's a strange matchup of, you know, an offense that's really good, that clicks on all cylinders, that has a defense that does nothing, against a team that has a defense that does nothing. Their offense, I don't know about. And then plus the fact that Missouri's just got better athletes, and it should be better all the way around. I definitely think they're going to cover the spread here against UConn. Mississippi State on the road at Texas A&M. This is a toss-up. Your classic toss-up game. 1 point favorites. You know, if you're going into Kyle Field as a favorite, and that's a feather in your cap. I'm going to take Mississippi State to cover this game and win it, just based off the fact that Texas A&M seems to have kind of struggled against teams that have good quarterback play. I think they're going to get their first, second home loss, here against Mississippi State on Saturday night. They lost to Alabama at home. I forgot about that one. They played my Gamecocks a few weeks ago at home. They should have lost that game. South Carolina just lost just basically because they ran out of gas inside the 8-minute mark of the game. They were impressive against Alabama, though. I'll have to give them that. They've hung with them closer than anyone has this year, which gives them a puncher's chance. But I still think Nick Fitzgerald and Mississippi State are going to be ultimately too much for the Aggies to handle. Mississippi State takes the win in this game in College Station. This is one that you might be kind of surprised about. Tennessee on the road at Kentucky. They're 5.5-point underdogs. I'm going to pick the Volunteers to cover the spread here. They're just due. They're due for a win. They're due to do something. Kentucky only put 7 points on the board this weekend against Mississippi State. I don't think anybody thought that they would win that game, but I mean, we surely didn't think they would be shut down like that. It shows there are some problems scoring points. So Tennessee, of course, has a lot of problems scoring points. Kentucky lost at home by 1 point to a Florida team that was basically even with Tennessee. They were basically even. That Hail Mary deal at the end of that Florida-Tennessee game, I mean, that thing's going to win either way. That game could have easily swayed to the Tennessee was in control for most of that game. And honestly, that Hail Mary from Felipe Franks to whoever it was for Florida that caught that ball, kind of sent Tennessee into a tailspin. The next week after that was when they had the close win against UMass, and it's just been bad news ever since then. So I look for them to snap out of this funk, and it's a good place to do it. They don't lose to Kentucky very often. I think they may have lost to them in 2011 or so. And then before that, I mean, it had been years and years since Kentucky had beaten the Volunteers. I think they're going to win this game in Lexington. If not win it, they're going to cover the spread in it. Look for UT to rebound there. Are they going to have a bowl-type season? No, but I think they're going to win this game. Duke on the road at Virginia Tech. They're 15.5-point underdogs to the Hokies. What can you say about Duke? They don't have the skill players to keep this game close. Virginia Tech's coming on strong right now. I think they're going to challenge Miami for that first place spot in the Coastal Division of the ACC, and I look for them to kind of beat up on Duke. They're going to kind of flex their muscles as they did last week against UNC. They're going to flex the muscle that they have against Duke. It's because it's a team they can do it against. They got a couple of road games coming up. They're on the road at Miami, and they're on the road at Georgia Tech in the next couple of weeks after this. And that will decide the fate of that ACC Coastal and who will play the winner of the ACC Atlantic, which likely will be Clemson, but could be North Carolina State. So Virginia Tech will cover the spread on Saturday evening in Lane Field, Worsham Stadium, whatever that place. Lane Stadium, Worsham Field. Yeah, it's late. They're going to win in Blacksburg. Purdue at home against Nebraska. 6-point favorites. I'm going to take the Boilermakers here to cover the spread here. Purdue 2 weeks ago lost a 17-9 close decision on the road at Wisconsin. Same Wisconsin team blew Nebraska out of the water on their own home field. Purdue is on the rise. Nebraska is not on the rise. They're on the decline. They're probably going to end up with a new coach. That Mike Riley guy there is probably all but done. And Purdue last weekend, they lost to Rutgers. That was kind of I think one of the lingering effects of that tough game they played against Michigan, and just ended up coming out kind of flat on the road against Rutgers. It was surprised and lost the game there. Stuff like that happens a good bit. I still think that Purdue right now, they're 3-4. If they can win this game, they got a few more winnable ones on that schedule. They got a game against Illinois. They have a game at home against Indiana. I think they can win both of those. They have road games at Northwestern and at Iowa. Neither one of those games are just throwaways that they have no chance of winning. Purdue could win 8 games this year, but I think it's more likely that they're going to win 6, and they are going to make a bowl in Jeff Brom's first year in West Lafayette. Purdue covering the spread here and winning against the Cornhuskers. Georgia Tech on the road at Clemson. It took a while to get the line on this one. It's forever before it came up. Tigers are 14.5-point favorites against the Yellow Jackets. It pains me to say this one, but I'm looking for the Tigers to cover the spread here. I think they're going to come out angry, after that off week and the loss to Syracuse the week before, which kind of knocked them down a notch or so. Paul Johnson hadn't really been able to do a whole heck of a lot against the Tigers, in the past few years. They did win the game 28-6 in 2014 in Atlanta. However, Deshaun Watson was not from that game early. That's the game where he actually tore his ACL. Georgia Tech just doesn't have the athletes to keep up with Clemson in this game, especially if Clemson's hitting on all cylinders, which I think they will be, whether they start Kelly Bryant or whether he's not able to go and Cooper gets the start there. I look for the Tigers to cover the spread and roll in this one like a 42-21, 42-24 type game against Georgia Tech. USC on the road at Arizona State. Both these teams have been kind of up and down. Arizona State, they beat Washington, but they lost to San Diego State this year. And they played a close game against New Mexico State. USC, looked solid at the beginning of the year, but they got blown out by Notre Dame. They lost to Washington State. But they can still make a decent bowl game here. I'm going to look for them to cover the spread on the road against the Sun Devils Saturday night. The last game of the week, San Diego State on the road against Hawaii. They're 9.5-point favorites. I'm going to look for them to cover the spread. The Aztecs, they're going to have to get back on track after a couple of untimely losses. And they're a really good start to the season, but they're kind of reeling right now. It's a good time to get things going back in the right direction. On the road at Hawaii, look for the Aztecs to cover that spread and win that game by a couple of scores. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and tune back in next week and see how many of these I was able to get right. Peace. I'm out. Go Gamecocks.